Hi everyone, Deathclaw Girl here, and welcome to another one of my videos. This is a special video. I'm going to be talking about the audiobook that I've started. So basically what this video is all about, it's the beginning, so it's like a rough draft beta. Want you to check it out. Of course, like I said, it's a rough draft, so it's pretty rough, but the idea I think is sound, so I'm just wanting some input. Try to listen through all the way, or at least come back and listen to it through all the way, because yeah, I'm trying to get a sense of it. Some of the points I'm wanting to look into is also because of how it's formatted, is listening fatigue. It is weird, it's bizarre. I think it's funny, but that's just me. So how is it in story format? And basically, you're probably all thinking or asking yourselves, what is she talking about? Well, I said in an earlier video that I was gonna, yeah, create an audiobook, but I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind. I'm still creating an audiobook, but now it is a musical audiobook. I know. What am I thinking? I'm in out of my mind, right? Yes. But anyway, so I'm not going to go into it anymore. Just throw in your comments. I need a lot of input, basically. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is just the rough draft or beta of Musical Madness Presents Tales from the Coffin Master William Shakespeare #1, Romeo Dracula and Juliet Van Helsing. But before that, here is our sponsored video.
Nuka-Cola's out that thirst.
Cram it, keeps it, won't go bad. Day sugar bombs, explosive, great taste.
Musical Madness presents Tales from the Coffin Master William Shakespeare #1, Romeo Dracula and Juliet Van Helsing, Part 1. Cursed star-crossed lovers who are really having a hard time of it. By Christy Lynn Higgins.
A most magnificent audiobook written, produced, edited, and mastered, like turning a haunted dream into a living spectacle by Christy Lynn Higgins, with just enough gothic chaos to keep the coffins politely rattling in time. Copyright 2026.
Visit the website, ChristyLynnHiggins.com!
No part of this book may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means mechanical, including photocopying, recording, video streaming, website, or by an information storage and retrieval system without permission in writing from the author. This is a work of parody. All references to familiar characters, catchphrases, quotes, or tropes are used for satirical purposes and to pay homage and are not affiliated with or endorsed by any trade or player. Chapter 1, because once is not enough. Welcome to CoffinMaster Shakespeare Multiverse.
And as the chapter title implies, one more time, because it never hurts to repeat oneself over and over and over and over again.
This story series is a parody and transformative work created for entertainment. Any resemblance to copyrighted works is intentional for purposes of satire and to pay homage, and does not imply affiliation with or endorsement by the original copyright holder.
In other words, this is a parody, satire, lampoon, mockery, send up, take off. No zombies, starships, dragons, Bigfoots, vampires, werewolves, humans, Bob the Blob, or Shakespeare's were harmed. A bald-faced lie, at least, when it comes to the thespian who none of the previously listed, excluding Shakespeare, were harmed in the making of this fine, grand, very noteworthy story.
Greetings, spoils and drools, to all the great works out there in horror, fantasy, and science fiction that have made my life that much better. I pay homage to you who were recent back and on the author/creator. Special copy info from the narrator. Or, in other horrific words, disclaimer of doom. No part of this twisted tome may be copied, cloned, streamed, Snapchatted, TikToked,
I'm serious.
or gifted to the dark toner lord of Xerox without the express written permission of the author. That means no bootlegging it like it's a first VHS of the ring, no uploading it like it's the pet cemetery on Audiobook, and self-regularity absolutely no 3 a.m. photocopying at Pico's unless you want to aid in the phantom. Go sickly. Ask first and get it in writing, or face the wrath of copyright kittens with law degrees and bad weed perjury. The sound a lawyer kitten makes we for clawing you to court.
I would like to point out one thing for this musical madness version of Tales from the CoffinMaster William Shakespeare #1. Since it differs from the other version, I will be singing a cappella whenever I interrupt the story with my thoughts.
Exactly as I am doing right now. Hashtag! Hashtag! Billow! CoffinMaster Shakespeare Romeo Pop Culture Character Introduction! Hashtag Billow! CoffinMaster Shakespeare Romeo Pop Culture Character Introduction! Hashtag was a self-confident, self-centered, blonde, muscular man with pork-chop-sized sideburns from the nefarious, sinister, villainous, dead! Horror comedy movie series. He was known for wearing his signature red t-shirt with I love my mom written in white, paired with blue jeans and a brown belt with a belt buckle. Mom proudly displayed. Hashtag had a tattoo of Mom on his left bicep, and in place of his severed right forearm, he had attached a weed whacker. Narration warm-ups. A nonsense opening that has nothing to do with the CoffinMaster Shakespeare story. Hashtag Billum style.
In my best impersonation of Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams from The Evil Dead 1981.
Might I add, a movie that's a blood-soaked masterpiece of chaos that turned low-budget horror into pure cinematic legend.
voice that's a perfect blend of macho swagger, sarcastic bite, and exaggerated B-movie bravado. A voice that sounds like it's ready to fight demons and hit on your girlfriend at the same time.
It was a dark and stormy night because, of course, I thrive on cliches. The clouds had been building for hours, like a washed-up sitcom star waiting for their gritty reboot. And now they were finally ready for their big thunderless comeback! Crash! Thunder! Rumbling! Somewhere deep in the woods, where GPS signals dare not tread and rational decisions go to die.
And die hard.
Accursed, hexed, cabin.
The cabin in the woods.
Sun hunched in the gloom, absolutely bursting with ominous minds. But don't worry, this isn't the story, not yet first. I need to take my sweet horror movie loving time, dragging you in like an adorable yellow rubber ducky, walkie-talkie, chew toy.
Look for Hallie later.
And an obsessed puppy with a flair for the dramatic.
There's an ancient old evil lurking in the pages to come, and a hero who's tragically underqualified and has more weed whackers than any responsible adult should ever own!
Groovy.
Me, of course. Hashtag Billum. I'm your everyday mucho macho mama's boy turned weed whacker. Wielding demon fighting hero from the nefarious, sinister, villainous dead film movie saga. What started as a simple log cabin getaway made from logs quickly spiraled into a nightmare of cold eyes, stone sights, and randomly selected horrific objects randomly possessed, and then attacked me. It forced me to become the ultimate badass with a weed whacker for a right hand and a sharp witch sharper than my boom splatter, boom cannon. I'm equal parts reluctant hero and wise cracking survivor battling evil with a mix of grit, guts, plenty of one of the laugh liners that keep the scars and the laugh coming. And don't forget the nylon trimmer string. Need plenty of it. Trimming's the game. Trimming's in me brave because I'm hashtag Billum as they come. Yes, dear reader, the story is about to begin. Any second now, I swear. It's just that you need proper preparation before I launch headlong into a whirlwind of undead shenanigans, cursed wall-hanging rugs, and sarcastic one-liners, plus one-liners equal two-liners or more, wielded with the grace of an iconic weaponized prosthetic in a ballet recital!
Chainsaw. For you simpletons. Or in this case, a weed whacker.
Snazzy! So strap in with your best mom belt buckle, maybe light a candle and ignore that whispering in the corner. It's probably only the wind of a nefarious, sinister, villainous dead, or both. But whatever it is, it's fine. Probably times two. Let's not get ahead of ourselves or get one chomped off. My right arm was bad enough after all. The story is about to begin. Right about now-ish.
Come get some.
Welcome all to CoffinMaster Shakespeare Multiverse. Welcome, dear majority minority mortals, magnificent monsters, binge watchers of the bizarre, fantastic fiends, and anyone who accidentally stumbled upon this glorious, so very good eBook / audiobook to the CoffinMaster Shakespeare Multiverse.
I know, I already covered this, sorta. But I'm so happy you're here, mi casa, su casa. Or in this case, mi estudio es su estudio. And one more time with more ecstatic excitement and finesse.
Welcome to the CoffinMaster Shakespeare Multiverse, a place where horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and pure unfiltered weirdness collide with monsters, horror, and more monsters, and maybe more horror here. The laws of physics are optional, and the fourth wall is held together with bone white, mold green, blood moon red duct tape.
If that wasn't enough color to blow your mind.
And smirk blood red, rotten mint, toxic cheer yellow, bruised lavender, cynic's peach, plastic vomit pink, ironic teal, eyelid gray, bleached bone white, and laughter black, sarcasm.
Here, traditional storytelling is strutting in vertiginous fishnets, doing a 180 and then is set on its Frankenfighter high heels. Loud, bold, impossible to ignore, and unapologetically dramatic. Every scene burst with so many pop culture references that your brain might need a Seagate fire. Could that no funny SSD to keep up with the download? This isn't only a story. It's a ride through the cobweb corridors of tales of the macabre, the strangest TV show never to hit your streaming queue until now. So buckle yourself into your chair, couch, or possibly a suspiciously creaky storage bed, because Tales from the CoffinMaster William Shakespeare #1 is about to unfold like a Netflix limited series directed by some unnamed horror director after scrolling too much. A 20 fight and doom posting at 3 a.m. or better yet, like a TikTok channel run by Wednesday Addams after binging The Bear and annotating Lana Del Rey lyrics, or better yet, like a Hulu dark comedy written by AI that's been fed Barbie, BoJack Horseman, and True Detective.
Season 1, obviously, must I say more?
Expect ghostly soliloquies, dimension hopping drama, and more spooky fun than a Halloween party hosted by the relentless Jason Voorhees, sadistic Freddy Krueger, silent Michael Myers, vicious Chucky, and brutal Leatherface. Prepare for chills, chuckles, and the occasional extraterrestrial existential crisis, because in this universe, even Shakespeare can't escape the reruns of the macabre!
Chapter 1 and 1/1 TARDIS Studio. Chapter 1 and 1/1 TARDIS Studio.
Before we go any further, I'm going to add a term to help shorten things up. Me best equals in my best impersonation. Hello, my fiends, I'm the narrator. You heard my voice during warm-ups and even a bit earlier. I have a gift for impersonations. Might be why I was hired. So maybe you are wondering what my natural voice sounds like. Think of it as creepiless studio and reminiscing of the voice of Vincent Price after binge watching Twilight Zone. What We Do in the Shadows. And a decade of late night in video shops. Let me know if you'd like me to sound more sinister, humorous, and or surreal. I can tune in to fit your style for a price.
The year was 2525.
Me, best Rick Evans with Danny Zager, providing harmonies and backup for. Yes, I'm that good, I can do both at the same time, all at once. Me, best Rick Evans with Danny Zager, singing in the year 25. 25 in the year 25. 25 if man is still alive. If woman can survive, they may find. Not sure what they find, but still a great song from 1969. Back to my normal voice.
The year was 2525, a future where humans had become the minority majority, and so another evening frothed with cackles and decay approached, and with it, another howling night of tales of the macabre.
All right, Yanks, who are reading this, say it with me. Hopefully heard it correctly.
Preparations for the late-night show were on their way as one entered the building. The musty scent of aged velvet and crypt dust clung to the nostril hairs like dry boogers.
Perhaps we should start with the outside first. I'm not talking about the dry boogers, but the building. And if you have to know, the dry boogers are extra crusty on the outside. We'll come back to the inside like a... Which do you like better? Like a vulture with commitment issues, or like a ghost circling its funeral, like a zombie sniffing out the freshest brains. Or does it seem like there are already too many choices? Or like a haunted realtor with flying low standards? I like the realtor one. Let's go with that one. So we'll come back to the inside like a haunted realtor with flying low standards. Follow the outside, follow my voice.
TARDIS.
Terror archives for the ridiculous, deranged, and insanely sinister. Love the name, makes me want to work here.
TARDIS Studio was a primeval, elderly, ancient vault of cursed films and forgotten nightmares, and it was very old, even in its early nights. TARDIS Studio was run down in the way only cursed buildings could be, perpetually and endlessly under renovation by crews that mysteriously vanished during breaks to read House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski, and then they disappeared.
I mean, the ghost of Sarah Lockwood Winchester was the architect and builder. It was, of course, as a side project to the Winchester Ranch. I guess people have to have hobbies.
TARDIS Studio was buried deep in the fog-choked outskirts of nowhere, wedged between a forgotten puppy and kitten cemetery, an abandoned western drive-in, and a rotting strip mall that had a grand opening, October 4, 1972 banner hanging above the main entrance that looked as new as when it was first hung up, though. The studio had been around even before the strip mall. Tumbleweed security guards called the Tumble Task Force patrolled the area. They wore cowboy hats and conversed in a western drawl. Once you walked through the main entrance and then entered one of the buildings of TARDIS Studio, you would see a sprawling soundstage that creaked like a coffin lid. Every time the wind howled, the soundstage was the background and setting for most of this story. No one knew built it.
Wait, what? I covered who built this a few seconds ago. What author slash creator of this fantastic and very, very creative world slash universe? The one who lovingly and thoughtfully brought me into existence. Let me take a moment to thank you. Thank you. What author slash creator is not paying attention? I won't name any names yet, but wait, neatly wait. Have you waited long enough, Christy Lynn Higgins, have you? I'll move on. So, let's be honest, I know, a new experience for me, but anywho, not a soul had knowledge of the one who constructed TARDIS Studio. I guess we'll go with it for now, even if it was rewritten in an attempt to hide it from my prying yet crying eyes.
It hummed with mystery and whistled a happy tune at times. One moment, you caught a glimpse of what you believed was an unhinged shadow. And the next, you'd swear you heard puppies whispering. TARDIS Studio was a timey-wimey, compact, and yet very wide-ranging blend of classic charm buildings and horror pop culture delightful structures.
And one more time, because a lie should never be told neatly once. That way, you'll be more likely to be caught in a lie.
No one knew who built TARDIS Studio, or why the blueprints were scrawled in Latin tick blood and what might be expired nacho cheese.
Yum, pass the guacamole!
Not yours, Nacho.
Founded long before film existed, possibly during a solar eclipse in 1886 or a puppy adoption gone horribly right, the studio had always produced exactly what no one asked for.
Kinda like I never asked for this job.
TARDIS Studio produced Ebnek Schlock, cursed reels and shows that allegedly aired before you turned on the TV.
I wish I could turn on a TV right now, or watch a loop of a toe tag swinging in fluorescent light. I'd stare at anything else to get out of having to watch this show again and narrate.
TARDIS Studios' hallways echoed with laughter too dry to be human, and the makeup room had a mirror that refused to reflect anything made after 1959. Rumor had it that the studio was sentient and hungry for B-list kitten divas, and its laugh tracks were soaked in dread.
I'm soaking in dread right now.
And of course, presiding over it all was the undead host.
I could easily do his job. No, seriously. Want his job.
CoffinMaster William Shakespeare was equal parts game show MC and grave digger, filming episode after episode from the control booth that's technically in another dimension.
Who wrote this part? Doesn't film anything. He's the one being filmed. And what's this about a control booth? He's not in a control booth, he's on the set! Wilted Shakespeare's decrepit body can barely stand. So how is he supposed to deliver his lines? I should be the one up there, I should. Sorry, went off on a tangent, tangerine. Now I want fresh, squeezed orange juice. Sorry, did the tangent slash liquid sunshine craving slash yearning slash obsession thing again. I'm in slash mark overload right now. Let me fix the above sentence and don't tell the author slash creator. No, seriously, mom's the word. Actually, mom's the word. Let's keep my mom out of it, scary lady.
CoffinMaster William Shakespeare was equal parts game show MC and grave digger, hosting episode after episode from the set of Tales of the Macabre, which was technically in another dimension.
Not perfect, but better.
From the outside, TARDIS studio resembled an oversized sticker-covered Porta-John.
You know, Crapper Capsule, Pit Stop Palace, Johnny on the Spot, I could go on, thrown on the go, Portable Privy, Loo Box. I will go on Stink Station, the Porta Pot, Mobile Outhouse, the Royal Flush Shack. Oh crap, where's the TP?
From the outside, TARDIS studio resembled a hulking Stigalic Porta-John that was worn by the centuries and long abandoned by time. A sign was on the door. Warning! Temporal anomaly detected. This portable restroom / studio is expansive on the inside. Once you stepped in and the door shut and locked to its OC-cupied setting.
If you left the door open or left the door unlocked, you could use it as a bathroom.
Once you stepped in and the door shut and locked to its OC-cupied setting. The dimension stretched into architectural nonsense. A gigantic lot appeared along with a zombie horde of buildings. And within the buildings, hallways looped on themselves, ceilings defied gravity!
I'm defying gravity right now in the old portable privy. I got the door shut but unlocked me. Best Tim Curry is Pennywise from the miniseries at 1990. Might I add, a miniseries that proved that a red balloon could float an entire generation's nightmares and showed that true horror doesn't need jump scares, only a clown, a storm drain, and timeless terror. Back to the voice. It's a voice that blends cheerful, cartoonish playfulness with sudden, jarring burst of menace, and like a party clown who's a little too eager to eat you. And with a twist on the iconic quote, they all float down here. Think about it, Sivers, and they all float down here, turds. Need I say more? Where was I beside in the old portable privy? Ah, yes. Back to my creepily soothing and reminiscent voice that sounds like Vincent Price, or what I like to call narrator, Echo's rising voice, eternal. What did you say? Way too long? How about an acronym? Nerve. I like the sound of that. I should also back up a bit so you might experience rerun overload.
From the outside, TARDIS studio resembled a bigger than normal Porta-John that was using its own body as a sticker album. The stickers would change depending on the mood of the Porta-John entrance, and currently it was covered in spooktastic cheater fear stickers that included fear outs, bite mark, snack, and candy logo, ox-blued thorny vines, and moon-physis targeted TARDIS studio was a blue neon sign that simply read studio, and it had a sign on its door. Warning! Temporal anomaly detected. This portable restroom / studio is expansive on the inside. Once inside with the door shut and locked, a studio lot immediately stretched before the door over 4,000 acres.
So 10 times the size of Universal Studios. Huge!
Many, many, many buildings covered the lot, but we'll focus on the sound stage, or at least one of them in the one sound stage.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Dimensions stretched into architectural nonsense, hallways looped on themselves, ceilings defied gravity, and staircases sometimes forgot which direction was up. The central feature was a towering soundstage, stage 13!
Might as well call it Stalag 13 without the Hogan's Heroes.
Though no one had ever confirmed whether there were 12 other stages, or if the number was chosen for its superstitious bite.
In my personal opinion, I think it's exactly like Babylon 5. Babylon 1, 2, and 3 were destroyed during construction, either due to sabotage or unexplained accidents. The implication is that opponents of the Babylon project, which aimed to build a neutral space station to foster peace among various spacefaring races, were responsible. The destruction of these stations was largely off-screen, only mentioned in dialogue and background. Now, Babylon 4 got completed and went online, but it disappeared mysteriously 24 hours after becoming operational. This mystery becomes a major plotline in later seasons. You see, Babylon 4 was pulled forward in time by the Minbari and future versions of key characters like Sinclair/Fallon to help fight the first Shadow War 1,000 years before the events of Babylon 5! And I believe this is where I'm supposed to put the words spoilers in here. Singing me, best not quite female sounding Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. Nailed it. I'm so wickedly evil, wanna come and play!
Here in the soundstage, amidst the flickering...
Fun fact, this is the place where things go wrong. Horribly, beautifully, beautifully, horribly wrong. Quick side note, I have heard the wild walls murmur that a change is in the draft, courtesy of the wind machine for TARDIS Studio. I can hear them right now, can you?
Whispers, you betcha!
So what had the wild walls been murmuring before they were put on the spot?
Whispers management might not be who will be managing once a new management plan has been managed.
I'm not sure what that means. No one does. But it can't be good for the crew. Back to the story.
Here in stage 13, amidst the flickering work lights and half-melted mannequin heads, horrific filming magic was at work. This was the set of Tales of the Murtab! A show so haunted by production delays and unexplained kittens singing about the sea occurrences that its cancellation had been attempted 3 times. Each time it resulted in the executive producer waking up with cryptic script pages tattooed in green on his body. In the back rooms of the soundstage, things got stranger. The break room housed a vending machine that sometimes dispensed human teeth instead of chips. No one could unplug it. It hummed in Morse code, and nobody was brave enough to translate it. The vending machine disappeared for 1 hour, only to reappear the hour before.
That reminds me of the old SOS commercial, where they would use Morse code.
I hope I didn't say anything bad in Morse code. Back to the story.
The director's office floated 3 inches off the ground and maintained a precise 10-degree temperature differential from the rest of the building. Its walls were lined with self-updating storyboards programmed to anticipate filming anomalies, equipment failures, live Homo sapien mishaps, power fluctuations, Chimera-related fire hazards, and war both, neither catering mishaps. With uncanny, data-driven accuracy, The props room housed everything from rusty guillotines to a haunted rubber chicken that once caused a grip.
Before Bob's time, don't know him, neatly wait. Packing up in my brain fart mobility scooter.
A haunted rubber chicken caused a grip to speak only in rhyming limericks for a week. Items here moved on their own. One shelf bore a do not touch sign, nailed up by a hand no longer attached to any known staff member.
Speaking of the crew, why are there so few now? Besides the director and the host, I guess we're also not counting the female human. The rest of the crew I can count on one hand. Yes, I have all my appendages, at least on my counting hand. Can't see my hand? I understand you can't see me when it comes to the first sense of the five senses. We're excluding the sixth, seventh, and eighth senses for this analogy. Picture a void of empty blackness where not a thing, even light, can enter or escape. And that, my fiends, is where I live, sadly. Nothing's less vacant than where I live. I can hear, taste, smell, and touch within this world, but can't see a thing in this place. Not even its blinding asp headlights, deadlights, the ones bright enough to tan corpses and interrogate ghosts. I meme, we all know the headlights. It's deadlights. Yes, I'm correcting myself. Someone has to, and I'm an equal opportunity typo slayer. Don't look into the deadlights. We all know the deadlights slash headlights from its rust bucket van didn't light up the street. They assaulted its selfie, this full-on retinal napalm. I'm talking soul, exposing every pore in 4K, kind of bright. They weren't headlights slash deadlights slash taillights. They were judgment beams from whatever magistrate handles traffic violations and low-budget horror scenes. You don't see with them, you confess under them. I can go on, so I will. It is the kind of cloudless night where the darkness feels personal, like it chose you. The kind of pitch black usually reserved for crypts, coal mines, or that one Exia soul, and then it pulls up, and those headlights slash deadlights slash stoplights slash searchlights don't break the darkness. They commit a felony against it, not to be confused with it. And if horror focused on broken adults dodging cosmic clowns and childhood trauma, and where a ragtag band of kids in 1958 Derry, Maine, called the Losers Club, were armed with bikes, stutters, sarcasm, and a questionable understanding of sewers doesn't float your boat. They all float down here. Can't get enough of this sewer pun. Let's try virtual reality. A brave new world where technology could unlock human potential. But instead it unlocked a guy's brain so hard he thought dial-up made him God. So picture Job Smith strapping twin sons to a lawnmower controlled by his mind. Me. Best Pierce Brosnan is Dr. Lawrence Angelo in Lawnmower Man 1992. Might I add, a movie that cuts deep and mows down reality itself. Sci-fi madness at its most electric. It's a voice that carries a smooth, polished, aristocratic Irish British tone. Normally charming, almost Bond-like, but here it's laced with an over-serious mad scientist gravitas. A voice that speaks as if every word is the secret to unlocking the universe, even when it's about something absurd like digitizing the soul or teaching chimps to use VR goggles. What we're doing here is creating a new form of intelligence, not human, not even necessarily organic. Skipping forward a few scenes, we're not just tampering with his brain, we're vaulting it.
The soundstage of Tales of the Macabre's dungeon-level gloom evaporated instantly, exposing everything. From the raccoon in the trash to the zit monster playing house in my pores. Subtle as a sledgehammer, romantic as a dentist's lamp.
Ghoul droppings, where was I? I can go off on a tangent like one of my heroes. Ash Williams in Army of Darkness, third installment of the Evil Dead series. I did it again. Where was I? Oh right, I was describing TARDIS Studios' Tales of the Macabre soundstage before that. And because I'm an equal opportunity narrator, as hashtag Billum would say, trimming's the game, trimming's in me brain, because I'm hashtag Billum as they come.
In the wardrobe department of the soundstage, costume racks shifted like subway trains, delivering outfits to no one in particular. A 1920s flapper dress was seen whispering advice to a kitten lawyer. Everyone pretended it didn't happen. The writer's room was a tangled maze of whiteboards and coffee cups filled with something that smelled like burnt dreams.
My burnt dreams!
Ideas spawned here often mutated. One script started as a romantic comedy and it ended with sentient sea monkeys declaring war on Australia. It was greenlit.
Put those sentient shrimps on the Barbie!
The editing suite had a timeline that occasionally included scenes no one remembered filming. Some footage displayed events from next week, and one editor aged 10 years after a particularly long night trying to color correct a spectral entity walking a puppy that refused to stay in frame. The screening room was a small, velvet-lined theater that, once entered, would not let you leave until the film finished. Bob! The Blob!
His introduction is coming. Neatly wait. Neatly wait.
Bob watched a 14-hour director's cut of The Wailing Fog 5 times before being released. And after that, he communicated entirely in audio cues for a whole month. The grip and electric room held equipment that sparked even an unplugged and once emitted a voice that simply said, "Red rum." The Foley stage / ADR booth was soundproof from the outside, but echoed with strange noises. When empty, the strange echoing noises were squelching, whispering, and something that sounded like a goat playing a harmonica. No goats were on set that day! Or any day.
Why don't ghost goats haunt barns? Because they're too afraid of being exorcised. You thought that one was bad? Try this one! They ain't kidding around with those haunting timers! Back to the story!
Despite all this, or perhaps because of it, the Tales of the Macabre soundstage of Tardy Studio continued to produce some of the most groundbreaking, chilling, and downright bizarre media ever created. It was a place where reality bent to accommodate the whims of fanged storytelling, and where storytelling sometimes bit back. And that was all in TARDIS Studios' heydays.
It's heydays, not haying time!
Things now were, well, worse. Many of the rooms were no longer in use. Interns had become an extinct species. And where once hundreds of people worked, now only 8 crew members plodded around like zombies hyped up about Prongle's pitchforks!
I suppose they're not harvesting hay.
Like zombies hyped up about Prongle's pitchforks and Mod AT. Extra sugar.
Me best Ash. Give me some sugar. Next section, extra dry now. Nerve!
Now let's once again enter one of the main buildings within TARDIS Studio.
Another evening frothed with cackles and decay approached.
Yes, the intro is being reused for those of you with no short-term memory, or depending on how long it takes you to read/listen, with no long-term memory.
Another evening frothed with cackles and decay approached, bringing with it another howling night of tales of the macabre. Preparations for the late-night show were underway. As one entered the building, the musty scent of aged velvet and crypt dust clung to the nostril hairs like dry boogers.
Extra dry now with deja vu.
Within the soundstage, the camera panned across the dilapidated set. Time-worn coffins lined the back wall, lids slightly ajar, hinting at past performers, current ones napping between scenes or perhaps eternally resting. A scorpion-infested gold sarcophagus timepiece of King Tut ticked away the seconds as if it were the doomsday clock. The skeletal director walked in, followed by a black-haired female human carrying too many boxes with a large tin of coffee on top. She was unable to see where she was going and ran into something large in the center of the soundstage. It was half shrouded in swirling mist and the scent of mint musk. What loomed there was known as the darker crystal. A towering shard of fractured abyss black glass pulsing with a malignant violet light that seemed to breathe in time with something vast and unseen. Veins of glowing corruption snaked through its core, flickering like trapped lightning, while the surface sweated an oily sheen that whispered of forgotten places. It gave off a low hum, like a choir of zombified dead insects chanting in reverse, and every so often, a hairline crack would twitch as though the crystal were holding something in, or holding something out. No one touched it for. No one dared, not even a little bit. It was understood, without explanation or ghastly clarification. Macabre elucidation, grim interpretation, eerie justification, terrify account, spine-chilling description, haunting exposition, nightmarish reasoning, grisly narration, horrific disclosure that the crystal was the only thing keeping the madness outside from leaking in. Or perhaps more terrifyingly, it was the only thing keeping the madness within from leaking out.
The female human was told never to gaze at the darker crystal, but when she ran into it, her eyes locked on its pulsing surface. The skeletal director was walking behind her and ran into her, snapping her out of her trance and sending the tin of coffee crashing to the floor. The female human bent, grabbed the tin, noticed a dent in the metal can, and continued on her way as she muttered, "Stupid shaded slopes of Mount Yuanan!" At the center of the chaos stood CoffinMaster William Shakespeare.
Hiss. Hiss. Boo. Boo.
The evening's host and master of ceremonies, both a parody and resurrection of the bard of banter himself. The gruesome versifier of midnight had once worn the garb of a gentleman, but time, grave dust, and too many late hours hosting tales of the macabre had reworked his finery into something far more dreadful.
His doubled, once black velvet, now sagged like a morning curtain, dipped and then drowned in the crimson.
His buttons clung with the desperation of the recently buried. Pinned to the doublet was a gold brooch of the theatrical masks named Thalia, the muse of Tomedy and Melpomene, the muse of tragedy, friends and foes of the bard. They threw out lines that hindered or helped when they randomly came alive.
Oh, Thalia screamed, Melpomene, dear sister, what a jest it seems to me.
We are both his friends and foes in perfect tragic comedy.
Indeed, my laughing kin,
Melpomene replied,
it cuts me to the core.
to love the man who writes my pain, then mocks it evermore.
Thalia said he steals my punchlines nightly, yet I cannot stay upset.
For every time he kills your queen,
He grants my crown a net.
our true delight, Melpomene proclaimed. For when his dagger finds its mark, you wait in the wings to make the audience bark.
That's theater, love, a laugh, a tear, a ghostly rhyme. We both inspire his pen, yet curse him every time.
How tragic, how divine, this dance of jest and grief.
His quill unites our muses and denies us sweet relief.
So let him write, my sorrowed sister, our quarrel never ends.
Thalia said, for tragedy and comedy, our lifelong pray from friends. Back to CoffinMaster Shakespeare's attire.
Red nether hose strangled Shakespeare's calves, matching his doublet. A white Elizabethan ruff drooped about his neck, yellowed and softly whispering the less.
His brown breeches were patched with funeral drapery, stitched in haste by candlelight, and matched his shoes